I've said it many times before, and I'll say it again here. No one who is doing just cognitively great screams about how cognitively great they're doing constantly and repetitively. Okay, that's not, those things don't both have. You don't have a sharp person who walks up to you and says, I'm really sharp, trust me. It just doesn't happen. And Trump is one of those, he's doing one of those things. And it's the one shouting about how cognitively not impaired he is at his rallies. And that's what I want to show you. Before, he's been exploding on this subject constantly. Before getting to the rally moments, here is him trying to project this onto Vice President Kamala Harris. I believe it's very important, he writes, that Kamala Harris pass a test on cognitive stamina and agility. Her actions have led many to believe that there could be something very wrong with her. Even 60 Minutes and CBS, in order to protect Lion Kamala, illegally and unscrupulously replaced an answer she had given, which was totally bonkers, with another answer that had nothing to do with the question asked. Also, she is slow and lethargic in answering even the easiest of questions. We just went through almost 4 years of that. We shouldn't have to do it again. And as I've said before, you know, I've gone through what experts are saying about Biden's aging and how his aging is impacting his cognitive functioning. And we've had nuanced discussions about, of course, I see the shift over time in Biden, but here's how I think we're seeing effective governance, right? And then here's what we're seeing in Trump. With the Trump-Kamala comparison, I don't feel the need to have that discussion at all, because I'll just throw the ball over to you. You can judge for yourself. Go watch any Kamala interview. Go watch any Kamala speech, and then go do the same for Trump. You can judge. It's a pretty easy judgment, I have to say, especially as we did actually in a different segment relating to more moments that I'll show you here from Trump's rally in Arizona. I just played a few clips from the Trump rally, a few clips from the Kamala Harris rally. It becomes very clear, and that's why Trump keeps repeating this. I've had someone in my life now ask me a couple of times, why does Trump keep calling Kamala Harris stupid and low IQ and dumb, and she should take a cognitive test? Number one, I think it's because he got so used to saying that about Biden that he sort of is simple in his attack lines, and he can only think of the stuff that he said for Biden. And then also, I think it's because he feels like he's being attacked on that, and he doesn't feel smart enough. So he needs to go after Kamala Harris on those different subjects, even though it's so clear. Feel free to criticize her about all sorts of things, but really, you're going to try to say she's not intelligent? It's just goofy that you would go there. Before getting into moments that I haven't yet showed you that are wacky, Trump insisting he's the best speaker ever and he's so smart, here is one that I did show you. The cognitively fit guy, he wants us to believe, really struggling to read.
Thank you, Tanya. Oh, beautiful. You look great. Thank you, darling. Also, we have many.
By the way, please do click that subscribe button if you haven't already.
Azerasians in our room. We have
so many Azerasians.
Also, we have many Azerasians in our room. We have some incredible people in our room. We have so many that we just can't. But we have some people in our room that I'm not going to mention because, and they fully understand why, because I don't have time. But Robert O'Brien I'm mentioning because he's the one that got the 300 plus people. So Robert O'Brien, please stay.
So awkward. Assyrians turns into Azerasians. That's what people are speculating. That's what he was trying to say. But that's something. And then, maybe because of that moment, I don't know where these fell in the timeline, so maybe this was before, maybe after, but I like to believe that after that, he went, I need to justify that I'm, totally cognitively here.
Mostly, one mispronunciation of a word. He's cognitively impaired. He's getting old. He mispronounced a word like the name of the gang, if I did. No, I think I got it perfectly, didn't I? But if they see any, they watch for weeks and weeks. For weeks and weeks, I'm up here ranting and raving. Last night, 100,000 people, flawless, ranting and raving. I'm ranting and raving. Not a mistake. And then I'll be at a little thing and I'll say something a little bit like I'll say, duh. They'll say, he's cognitively impaired. No, I'll let you know when I will be. I will be someday. We all will be someday, but I'll be the first to let you know. But when you can do this.
Yes, because notably, the number one characteristic of being cognitively impaired is self-awareness about your own cognitive impairment. It's one way to defend yourself, to go, they say I'm cognitively impaired, but I've been ranting and raving. I've been ranting and raving. Why was he repeating that? Yeah, that's our point. You've been ranting and raving, and it's freaking us out, okay? No, but I can't be cognitively impaired because I've been ranting and raving incoherently. What kind of person who's not sharp as a tack does that? Checkmate. Then this.
Now, some people say he's the single greatest speaker of all time. Because you know what? Nobody's ever. I actually asked that question. Hundreds of thousands of people show up, and I assume it's for my looks. But I say, I said it today to Brandon. I said, Brandon, it's funny. I look outside, you could fill this place up 3 times. If anybody would like to give up your seat, please. But outside it's packed. We put up television screens now. But I said to Brandon just a little while ago, I said, I draw all these people. I don't think I've ever had a story that Trump is a great speaker. I hear about great speakers like Churchill. I hear about a lot of great speakers.
So here's my question. If that's his metric, then when he says Kamala Harris can't speak and is terrible and dumb and all that, but she holds a rally in the same venue he held a rally in, but fills it up when he didn't, does that mean that just crowd size is the indicator of good communication skills? So then he'd have to admit that she's a better communicator, at least as it pertains to that venue, as we've seen with some of these events where they'll hold an event, the exact same rally, just days apart. So that doesn't seem to be something he'd admit to. Maybe the reason people are drawn to him, unfortunately, and why a lot of people often do go to his rallies, is not because he's a good communicator. Well, I should say, not because he's good at delivering speeches as we traditionally judge it, but clearly, whatever you call this connects with people. And I guess this is a very subjective term, so MAGA folks will probably say Trump's one of the best speakers in history, but I wouldn't. He also agrees with someone in the crowd who says he's the smartest person ever.
You know who the smartest person they say in history was? Albert Einstein. He said Trump. I agree with him. He said Trump.
He says, I agree with him. Let me ask you this. Do you think that it's more likely, if there's 2 people that we're talking about here, one of them is a 59-year-old individual who has been a prosecutor, district attorney, attorney general, senator, vice president, and who never mentions her own intelligence, never hypes up how cognitively fit she is, and just releases her medical records but doesn't have to say much else about her own intelligence, and never calls her opponent stupid. And the other candidate, however old Trump is, older, who shouts at rallies about how he's so cognitively fit, the smartest person in history potentially, an incredible speaker, but no one ever admits it, and constantly screams about how his opponent is stupid. Which one do you think has the real problem? Now, it's not just me who says such things about Donald Trump. Here's Mehdi Hasan brilliantly explaining to a Trump campaign spokesman how many of those who were closest to Trump think Trump is not fit to be president.
Your own vice president refuses to endorse you. Your national security advisor says you're unfit to be president. Your defense secretary says you're unfit for the presidency.
All dismissed employees, and unlike the current
his
president...
former White House chief of staff, John Kelly, called him an idiot.
Well...
His national security advisor, H.R. McMaster, called him a dope. His economic advisor, Gary Cohn, said he's dumb as shit. These are the people who worked closely with him.
And all of them...
They don't like him. They don't rate him.
Yeah, usually people who are fired usually
They said this stuff before they were fired, in government. Actually, John Kelly said it to the staff in the White House. We're working for an idiot, he said. We're in crazy town.
What crazy town? Listen,
His words.
The record, crazy town, speaks for 4 years of prosperity, low unemployment, and peace. That's what it speaks to. That's what the American people had under this terrible person that they're going to reelect.
So you don't think he's an unserious figure who says absurd, outrageous things?
No, I do not.
Because you said that
Americans
in 2015. Those are your words. You called him an unserious figure who says absurd and outrageous things.
I did say those words, you know, as I was working.
But you don't believe them anymore?
No, I was working for another Republican at the time. That's just the nature of politics. Oh, it's true. It's true. It's true.
Oh, what? Oh, I hate it. I hate it. I've been really... Let's watch the rest of this clip and then I'll say what I was going to say.
So...
It's true.
So now you're working for Donald Trump. Should we take anything seriously you say tonight?
Yes, the Republican nominee today, after his record of 4 years, I was wrong, he was right.
Think about that. Imagine admitting, oh, I was just being paid by someone else back then. So obviously I bashed Trump. Now I work for Trump, so I praise him. That's politics, baby. Yeah, maybe your version of it. Some people want to embody the values they genuinely hold in their political advocacy. Some people would only take a check from someone that they genuinely align with the principles of and who wouldn't request of them things that violate their values. But he admits it. And this is why, what I was going to say just a second ago was, we're preparing a little video, okay? When we get to 1 million subscribers, we're going to, let me put it this way. In what producer Cole has shown us thus far of all the old footage, some that we never published, but it's just me sort of before a take or after a take saying stuff. And he's putting together sort of a flashback over the last couple of years since I started the show in honor of you all getting us to 1 million subscribers, hopefully pretty soon. And in that, there's footage that made us tear up because it's so crazy seeing like a year ago or a couple years ago me saying some stuff. One of the things that I say is that as much as I love doing this as a job and love interacting with y'all, I do have sort of turmoil that I'll work out throughout a day or numerous days that sometimes it's hard to put my finger on. Why, if this is such an ideal job, career pursuit, I love so much about it, why would I still be so irritable some days? And then I figured it out. In preparation for the part that I love, which is this, talking to all of you, I have to consume that, a lot of that. For every one segment, there's hours, or at least minutes that go into just scrolling through the internet and reading all the different takes and hearing from some of the worst people in politics over and over and over again. And how could that not make me irritable some days, right? And so when you hear that, someone going, oh, wait, I'm just saying that, or I just said that back then because I was getting paid by a different Republican, really affirms that feeling, why it's sometimes hard to be bubbly and super giddy. Because some days you're reminded just how icky and unfortunate the values are of people that we deal with every day. And you wish you could just, come on, have normal, good morals, I beg you. And that conflict, I think, will make us all irritable some days. And we have to forgive ourselves for that. And I ask you all to forgive me on my grumpy days because that's just so aggravating. Let me know what you thought in the comments. Support the show by clicking that join button below.